Welcome to a platform where we debate on the top stories of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and other leagues with the best in the world of sports. You'll also get interviews with many athletes and media talents at several basketball events, including the WNBA and college basketball. My name is Rafiq Ulazon, and this is Nothing But That Sports Talk.
Bogdanovich was averaging over 20 a game in Detroit, got off to a slow start in New York, but playing great now.
Three-pointer is good. Brunson is fouled by Holiday. Brunson gets to reset here. Chua the screen. Brunson fires. Brunson hits a three-pointer.
They only gave up 2 free throw attempts to Milwaukee, and now they've only given up 6 attempts tonight.
Here's Anunoby. Gets the laces right and laces it in.
Welcome to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Our Rafiq Ulazon alongside Ryan Walker, and the Knicks are breathing down Milwaukee's neck for the second seed in the Eastern Conference. But before we get into all things the York Knicks and watching South Carolina and UConn walk out as men's and women's national champions, I know you got a promo to announce, but this is the background. So you have the floor.
Yes, absolutely. Big love, big shout out to the 5 a.m. Brotherhood, the owner, CEO, my man John Peloso, the whole guys on the staff, Feliciano, Wowie, who's with the camera, Nick Perez, who's a part of Legacy, but was doing the interviews with them, my man Keith as well, Legacy, but also on the staff, one of the chairmen for them. So great thing. They started in 2023. It's a new movement. They're trying to, get it off the ground. They're aimed towards Pro-Am as well, too. They started off with rec and just regular guys getting together to hoop, and decided last year to do a little bit of a league. This technically is their season 3. They're going to season 4, I guess, of their transition. They will have a summer league as well, too, that I'll be back at, and I'm happy to be back at it, and they'll have another championship game in Nassau Coliseum. But last Friday that just passed, which was, what was that, the 30th? No, I don't know if I got that right. No, April 5th, April 5th, they had their championship game in Nassau Coliseum, and I was fortunate and blessed to be able to announce and perform at them at Nassau Coliseum. I did the opening greetings for all the players coming in, and was fortunate enough to do on-court announcing, which really went well to have that opportunity. But so big shout out to 5 a.m. Brotherhood. They have a good thing going. It was great last week at Nassau Coliseum. We will be back there for the summertime for their championship thing established in 2023. So big love to John Peloso and the guys. I know they'll be happy definitely when they see this. But 5 a.m. Brotherhood, man, organization started in Long Island. Like I said, big shout out to Keith, John Peloso. We were at Nassau Coliseum last week. Look forward to the league starting back in the summer and being back at Nassau Coliseum. Yes, it's a good picture right there. You got John Garcia, the Big Show, number 31. That we call him there. Keith, that's the gentleman I was just talking about, number 2, who's one of the chairmen on the board as well, too. Nort, all the guys from the Avengers, Roy Williams, my man, I call him Phantom of the Opera. So that green team, the Avengers, actually went undefeated throughout the whole entire season. Legacy, the purple team, played them in the chip. Legacy's only 2 losses were to the Avengers, who went undefeated. And that guy right there, you see, like I said, Big John Garcia Sosa. They call him Big Spanish. I call him the Big Show. He has played basketball in Dominican Republic and other realms, and a lot of Long Island love. And he won MVP, and so it's a great league. I like what they're doing. They're getting it off the ground. It's not at the realms yet of like the big dogs like a Dykeman or a Crunchtime or a Gersh or stuff like that. Because Pro-Am, they're Pro-Am, but it takes time to get all the talent and stuff like that, but they're progressing. They did a good thing, and like I said, once again, big love and shout out to John Peloso for selecting me. They picked me out, not picked me out the blue. I have a good relationship with Keith, and he's known I've done a lot of things, the high school games at Crunchtime, and his brother coaches at the Knox School in Long Island, which has 3 standout kids: Fabian Wheatley, KJ Anderson, and Reggie Pierre. And we built a great synergy, and it was like the Gary Charles Classic, and I'm doing interviews with I Love B-Ball, and Keith hits me up. He's like, yo, we were trying to contact you for a week. Wavy, where the heck you been at? I'm like, working, I've been around. But he said, yeah, we want you to do the 5 a.m. Brotherhood. The guy, John Peloso, said he's got a good thing set up for you. We can talk business, and, you can bring something different to what we're doing. And I said, yeah, anything, to help out and to grow, I'm with it. And, ever since then, been there consistently with me, and they've been great in taking care of me. So yeah, like I said, big shout out to the 5 a.m. Brotherhood. And that's it. We will be back with them in the summertime. And it was a great opportunity to be at Nassau Coliseum. And now to the other transcending, the Crunchtime basketball, my home base family, which we had a phenomenal championship game April 6th. It was big time at the gym. Gas Wars out of Brooklyn. Most of the guys, even though there are a few Long Island Queens guys on the team, but mostly out of Brooklyn. That's where that basically was established. And Team JFK, who's been a 5-time champion at Crunchtime. They were looking forward to getting the 6-time champion. There was I won't say controversy, but JFK and them weren't victorious, and there's a little bit of grumblings afterwards per se. But there's some of it might be justifiable, some of it might not. But at the end of the day, it still was a great championship game between Gas Wars of Brooklyn and JFK. Gas Wars was victorious in that championship game. It was a great day. We had Chubby Cheeks Ices there who served ices, Royals Catering, Chef Reem, who's a big time chef throughout there. Royals Catering was serving drinks. We had a lot of different people in the building. Great championship day. So it's great to finally get a break and not do some games this week for 5 a.m. and Crunchtime. But big love and big shout to us. And we'll be back. I think our opening day is June 20th. I think 5 a.m. Brotherhood is like 2 weeks before that or something like that. But I think that's when we get back at it for Crunchtime. We got our whole schedule for the summer. It's going to be a 5-game season. And it was a great weekend to be at Nassau Coliseum the Friday, and the next day to be at Crunchtime, our gym in the Massapequa at the old field house, and to be able to perform and do what we have to do was amazing. And everything right now is just progression, and I'm in the process right now as we speak to making my name Wavy Walker a business in the LLC. I actually took care of that. I'm waiting for the tax ID and everything, and that's a whole different realms and level. So it's going to be a good summer. Crunchtime will be back. I'll be there. 5 a.m. Brotherhood, I'll be back. I'll be there. I got my men's tournament, Guard Nation, August 31st, which I can't wait for in Harlem. August 22nd to August 27th, I'll be going to Canada for the Peace Tournament. July 27th and 28th, I'll be in the Hamptons for the Stop the Violence Tournament, 2-day invitational unlimited. And May 13th is Nassau versus Suffolk between the high school kids, which will also be at the gym in Massapequa. So it's a lot of good things. These guys go on Instagram, follow 5 a.m. Brotherhood. Of course, follow us, Crunchtime Basketball. You know how we move already. So that's the ticket right there. So I appreciate you for giving me that time to get that out to the masses. And now we can talk about the pros.
Yes, but we're not going to talk about the pros yet because there was some breaking news that happened this past week. Well, obviously, as you know, John Calipari left Kentucky to coach at Arkansas, the Arkansas Razorbacks of the SEC. Whoever thought that would have happened? I mean, we all know that John Calipari's career is going to end in Kentucky somewhat, but I did not expect him to go to an Arkansas college program that hasn't really had much to shout about in recent years. And he's going to be replaced by BYU's Mark Pope, former New York Knicks, former Denver Nuggets, former Indiana Pacer, second-round pick.
Yeah.
And he actually played basketball in Kentucky. So what are your overall thoughts, and what do you think about this whole coaching transition for Kentucky?
It was shocking. Were you shocked? I know I was not. It came from out of left field. John Calipari is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach college basketball. A great teacher, a great humanitarian. I can't count how many guys he's helped get to the NBA, successful NBA players, productive for teams, and so on and so forth. We know the phenomenal job he's done at Kentucky. And maybe sometimes in sports, it's things reach their pasture point. And he's been at Kentucky for a long time, and won a national championship there and helped many SEC titles, many pros. I think from the outside looking in, it just seems like that marriage was over, if you understand what I mean. And I'm pretty sure Arkansas has economically compensated Mr. Calipari. So economics has a lot to do with transitioning on. And it seems, I mean, I don't want to say that he never had a lot of control of what's going in Kentucky. You have to trust the decisions we're recruiting. This is John Calipari. But Arkansas, a program that's more known for football per se, not to say that they don't have a good basketball program. They're always decently competitive or fighting in the SEC in a tough conference, but they're not known for basketball first. So clearly he's taking on the challenge to now make them a powerhouse program. Who are we to say that he can't? We know the capabilities of John Calipari. And economically, I'm pretty sure it's good for him too. And at a program like Arkansas now, why it's good for Calipari is because at Kentucky, he's done so much there. So it's all collective with their decisions. I'm pretty sure he's going to go to Arkansas and they're going to give him the keys to the car and let him drive and make the decisions, because that is not a program that has had a great, consistent winning tradition in basketball. So when you get a guy like this on campus, you got to trust his faith. It still was a little shocking, and things could be changing in Kentucky. I'm pretty sure if he left Kentucky too, things are changing. He's probably not enamored with the scenario and what's going on. And also on top of not being enamored, he's probably got a better opportunity to do something different. So good for him, still kind of shocking. And Kentucky will they'll lose his presence, but they'll be fine. This is a blue blood program that has always recovered. They've had Tubby Smith win there. They've had other coaches over the year go there and do well, and the next gentleman Pope will be fine. It just take a little time, and let's see what Calipari does in Arkansas.
Yeah, and we're talking about Mark Pope, and let's look at his numbers right now. I mean, he has a total of 110 victories and 52 losses with a 67.9 win percentage during his coaching career. Yeah. And he managed a total that's during his BYU coaching career, but now we get to his total wins of 187, which means he only needs to get 13 more victories as a coach in order to get 200 for his career. And he had a chance to do that with a very solid basketball program in Kentucky, who's actually owned a national championship way back in 2012 or 13, I believe, or somewhere around those realms. Remember those clutch games?
Oh, yes.
Seriously. That was a phenomenal run from Kentucky. And then there's the losses where they couldn't get past the Final Four. They haven't reached the national championship in a while.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm sure Mark Pope is going to do some great things. I mean, he's have a good basketball career. He has a decent coaching resume. I mean, he left Columbia University's medical school to actually pursue that coaching career, starting off as assistant. And now he has a chance to, again, coach one of the top programs in college basketball next season.
Yeah, and see, but that's the college basketball has changed so much from in regards to winning. Like you see how programs with like UConn with Danny Hurley, and I know we'll transcend to that in a second, but like, and even Danny Hurley, he's getting many other offers right now because he's doing so well at UConn. So who knows how long he'll be at UConn. So, but he's a great coach, and he's very savvy. That one thing he's done in recruiting is that they don't run for all the 5 stars and the McDonald's All-American kids. They look for a lot of 4 stars, 3 stars, transfer portal, and they build that UConn team the right way. That's the only way you'll have an opportunity to win back-to-back championships, unless you have a really good core of guys. And a lot of those guys are good core guys from League 84. But what I'm trying to say is that without making excuses, without having, ignorant people like Patrick on the show, our crash brother, when you have got schools like Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina doesn't do it too much. They do have that, but not as much, because guys do kind of stick around, even though they have one that does. I'm not saying North Carolina, but the bigger programs, and you're getting freshmen, okay? And you're getting young kids. it's hard to make runs to the tournament, guys. Kentucky's three best players this year were all 18-year-old freshmen and kids. They're great players. Rob Dillingham's going to be a great pro. You know, they are the other kid Shepard. I'm saying these guys are going to be great pros. When you talk about winning in college and the team that you're playing has a 24-year-old, a 22-year-old, a junior, an outstanding freshman, a sophomore, and two, that's a big difference. And that helps towards winning. Like, T for time. Duke has the #1 class coming in the nation next year, right? But they're still getting 6 freshmen. So they have to grow up fast, not talent-wise. They have to grow up fast so that when March comes, they're ready. You understand what I'm saying? So when you get a school that has upperclassmen, even though we're getting a Cooper Flag, even though we're getting an Isaiah Evans, even though we're getting the kid Darryl from Paul IV, even though we're getting the tall African center who will be very great for us, you have to take into consideration they're freshmen, they're kids. So you play a program that has look at the 2 teams in the national championship, upperclassmen savvy teams. You know what I'm saying? Zach Edey is a 4-year senior. You know what I'm saying? And that has a big play into it. So I know some guys be like, oh, nah, man, you got to have the right team. The last all-freshman team to win something was the Duke Blue Devils with like Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow, Tyus Jones. And it's hard. Kentucky had a squad where they did it too as well. But like you said, it's very difficult to win with kids. And that's been some of the things with Kentucky. They've had great players there over the last 10 years, but they're still kids. And then if they come to the school and they're only there for 6 months and go to Adam Silver, how can you build a program?
That's a very interesting point. And we think of the exact same thing with the WNBA draftees. And it's funny with the WNBA draft coming up, we're thinking about how Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is going to excel into the WNBA when they make it. I mean, at the end of the day, they're kids. It's going to take a while for them to adjust to that elite status. Yes. And I'm just bringing up to prove an example of why I agree with your point. But when I think about everything you just said, it's all going to go down to how the coach toughen up his players, how the players adapt to the coaching system that they're going to have to play through in order to have a very decent college basketball career.
The coaching is so key. You opened up a good point. That is going to be also key towards the kids' development. So Mark Pope has a heck of responsibility, which I'm pretty sure he'll be fine for. And Mr. Calipari has a new job position where he has to figure out how to make Arkansas not a bottom feeder or middle of the pack. How can you take Arkansas to be a powerhouse in a very tough SEC conference?
That's a lot of unpredictability right there. But you want to know what's not unpredictable? This past weekend, South Carolina becomes an undefeated team. Not UConn like they did in the mid to late 2010s. Not Baylor like they did that one season with Brittany Griner played their final season there. It's South Carolina. A year after Aaliyah Boston left, got drafted to the Indiana Fever, Don Staley still managed to coach a Camila Cardoso, Malaysia Ford Wiley, and a Raven Johnson-led South Carolina to a 38-0 record, taking out Caitlin Clark. Eventually, they lost in the Final Four against them last year and get another trophy. Their second championship in 3 years. So, yeah. And let's not forget, UConn won back-to-back. Are we even surprised? They got literally the best winning core that Dan Hurley has ever incorporated with Cam Spencer, Donovan Finch. What more can I say? These kids can ball. Oh, yeah, if you can't forget about Tristan Newman. He can knock down 3-point shots from the parking lot.
And Hassim Daira, Queens, New York. Queens, baby, big New York.
I've had a chance to speak to during the Big East tournament and all those kids, and they let's just say they were built for this moment. They were built to have another deep run after being #1 overall seed. So, what is more impressive this year? South Carolina going undefeated or UConn going back-to-back?
Oh, South Carolina. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. Honest to God, regardless of our own choices, we all knew and expected that UConn was going to win the national championship again. I mean, they've been absolute no discrediting what they did, because they had a season where they beat almost every team by 10 points minimum differential. They've had their point differential for beating teams was just through the roof. So but the fact that they had so many core guys back from last year's championship, and they knew what they do, and they're well coached, and they're hungry, and they're dogs, and they clearly had. When we all say it, everybody had their times this year. There was a time when Duke was the number one in the country. There was a time when North Carolina was number one in the country. Everybody had a little time, but we can clearly say that eye test wise, Duke and Purdue were the two top teams in the country in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And we expected UConn to get back there and possibly most likely win it, which they did, which was a great accomplishment. But to go 38-0, 38-0, to lose to Iowa last year in the Final Four when you had a chance to go back-to-back, right? You lose to Leah Boston, just like you said, who's an absolute stud. And to go undefeated 38-0, win your regular season, win your conference title, get to the Sweet 16, get to the national championship, win the national championship, go undefeated, and look like a Raven Johnson. I mean, last year they were giving Raven Johnson 10 feet of room to shoot. They can't do that no more with her. You know what I'm saying? All the girls improved. They believed in coach, and they also, throughout the year, is still being the best team. They had to share a lot of the attention with Iowa, with Caitlin Clark, with Angela Reese at LSU, with Paige being down at UConn, and Angel Reese, which entered for the WNBA draft. And, they had to share the biggest stories this year, even though South Carolina was still going undefeated, was the fact that, what was my young lady on Iowa? Caitlin Clark was the biggest talk about in college basketball, and of course, Miss Reese and how popular she is, and the little baby rivalry between her and Caitlin. So South Carolina kind of got to go under the radar, but not under the radar, because when you're undefeated and when you're Dawn Staley, the coach, and when you have good players like that, you don't go under the radar. But it was kind of their redemption song. So clearly what they did was more outstanding than what UConn did, but they both made great accomplishments. They're national champions. And, Dawn Staley and those girls will be right back in the thick of things this next season coming up.
Yes, they will. And even though they're going to lose Camila Cardoso when she gets drafted in the WNBA, at the very least, when being coached by Dawn Staley, who's not going away anytime soon, she's going to incorporate a winning formula for the next top players that plays in South Carolina. I mean, she done it with Asia Wilson in 2018. No, I'm lying, 2019.
Right.
2019, the year that Asia Wilson got drafted there. No, wait. No, actually, yeah, Asia Wilson did get drafted in 2018. My mistake. But South Carolina won it like in 2017. I'm pushing a lot. My bad. But this this is the best program in women's basketball, period. Yes, you had your Caitlin Clark, but with Caitlin Clark leaving Iowa next year, it's going to be tough to see Iowa even get back to anything close to what they were when she was there. I mean, yeah, you got Kate Martin who can still shoot, but it all depends on what you do with the recruiting class of Iowa, because Iowa was nothing before Caitlin Clark excelled to be one of the top players in college basketball this year. She's the reason why people pay more attention to women's basketball than men's basketball. Yes, men's going to have their upset, and I'm still good hype for the men's side, but we got to get credit where credit is due. The women's Final Four was peak.
Phenomenal.
And even though Caitlin Clark might not get to all-star status just yet, when she gets into the league, especially with 2 of the first 3 games being against the New York Liberty, it's going to be insane watching her go against players like Sabrina Ionescu, Diana Taurasi, Skylar Diggins-Smith, who signed with the Seattle Storm during the offseason. It's just something to behold. But for me personally, I'm gonna share your brain and pick South Carolina. Yes, UConn going undefeated, being the Michael Jordan college basketball is impressive, and if they keep this up, they're 5 titles away from surpassing the women's side, assuming the women don't win anymore. Even with Paige Becker's coming back next year, you're looking at the rise of women's basketball. Everybody watch women's sports. And I hope you can get the women to play for that 5 a.m. Brotherhood league that you just talked about, because, I mean, I get the emphasis of Brotherhood, but sisters can be involved in Brotherhood too, you know.
Well, they just got established in 2023. That might be a future goal for him to one day get a ladies in a pro-am league, or maybe, something high school. It's all baby steps, and it does take time. But here goes the interesting thing. 5 a.m. Brotherhood started off as like just regular rec. They would get up 5, they went to gyms, and they would play. So there's males and females that play in general with the rec league.
And that's
they have come out to play. Yeah, and so that's a start. The actual league is pro-am, so of course just men. But I know him in general. He has John Peloso, the owner and CEO, has a lot of really big plans and for what they're doing. So we'll see him and us definitely with Crunchtime too. It's so crazy. When I first started with Crunchtime, I did the Just Hoop Championship, which is like our rec league for regular guys to play, but we have a championship for it. And that year was around COVID or before COVID? I don't know. But
it was around COVID.
It was around COVID, yes. And I did that chip game. And then after that, when I was doing stuff with Crunchtime with the summer with them, White would do games, but I would do like the undercard games because I was, learning and getting better in the game. But my biggest claim to fame with them when I go on off days is because they had a women's league. And nobody wanted to, not saying nobody, but yeah, nobody wanted to take the opportunity and had the time to do the women's league. So during that time, I had more freedom in my schedule where I could do it. It's not like I had, my daughter now who's 2, my son Prince who's 6 months. So I was able to go there on the days when they had it in the summertime and do the women's game. And I loved it because, one, I knew the ladies compete and play hard too. There were some good girls there. And because nobody wanted to do it, I actually brought light to what they were doing. And the lady players fell in love with me too, because now it's like, nobody comes to announce for our games. Now you got somebody that's literally doing their games, which brought a different form of entertainment for it. It was fun. And then now the ladies week by week started coming, oh, you're gonna do our game, you're gonna do our game. So then now I started to tell her, like, oh yeah, they want me to do it. And sometimes to be like, okay, we need to announce it, but then we don't. And then we did that. So I started off doing the women's games. And that's how you get your claim to fame in the game. Sometimes you got to do the kids' games or the women's games that nobody wants to do. And that's how you get your caveat. So eventually, hopefully that's what the Crunchtime is trying to get the women's league back. Because that's the thing. It's like getting the players, getting the teams, make sure you have the time and the opportunity. So I know they've been talking about, we've done stuff with the Crunchtime Women's League for high school. I think they're trying to bring that pro-am aspect back. It takes time, but both of them are working on it. And we'll see. Long Island is making a lot of moves right now, man.
Yeah, man. And you always gonna have my support 100%, whether I'm there or not. That's all I can say about that. I mean, it's all about the growth of a basketball league. I mean, it takes a while to even come up with the idea of a basketball league, although actually building it from up to its peak. I mean, look at how long the NBA before it got all the engagement that the league was fighting for, when Arya Christina mentioned that there wasn't enough support for the WNBA in the 2010s.
She was right. And thank God things are changing, right? Mm-hmm. We're watching a big change, man. What those ladies did in college this year, what the WNBA has been doing, God is great for them. Thank God, man. Mm-hmm. Honest to God.
And every little thing helps. And everything helps. Everything helps.
100%.
Okay, now we get to the pros. The New York Knicks managed to pull off a win against the Boston Celtics, 118-109, staying within reach of the second seed in the Eastern Conference. And everybody in the media kept saying the Knicks are the second best team in the Eastern Conference, even though they haven't gotten to that second seed just yet, or this is the closest they have been all season. but Julius Randle's out for the season. We already went over everything that happened after Julius Randle announced that he was going to sit down for the season due to a shoulder injury. The New York Knicks continued to rack up wins with OG Anunoby being back, and there was question marks as to how the Knicks are going to conduct themselves. And like I said, the ball movement moves better when Julius Randle doesn't play, and Julius Randle's numbers hasn't showed any flashes in recent appearances. So right now, this New York Knicks team looks like they're going to be a conference finals runner-up. But in your opinion, like, the Knicks are the second best team in the Eastern Conference, even if they don't get to the second seed.
Yeah, well, they definitely will not get to the second seed even after tonight, because I believe with Milwaukee beat Orlando yesterday.
Milwaukee has the Thunder and the Magic coming up, while the New York Knicks, they have home games against the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls. Well, Brooklyn, they missed the playoffs for the first time since 2018. And Chicago, they're at least in the play-in tournaments.
Right. But I believe the Knicks are 2 games behind Milwaukee right now as we speak.
They're actually one game behind. If the Knicks win the next 2 games and Milwaukee lose the next 2, they'll get the second seed. And with Giannis being out for the rest of the regular season because of that calf injury, it shouldn't be too much problem for the New York Knicks. I mean, I hope Giannis does better and coming back from injuries. Don't get me wrong, but the Knicks should.
Did Giannis get hurt in that Orlando game?
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, he got
that game. Okay, so I mean, there is actually, you're right then. So there is a chance we would need Milwaukee to belly up, and we would, because we have to finish 1 game better than them. We played them 5 times. They won the series 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to finish completely 1 game better than them, which is possible, like you said, because we have Brooklyn tomorrow tomorrow, and that's a win. Sorry, Brooklyn, and we have Chicago, and we should be fine with beating Chicago as well too. So they could get to that 2 seed. Let's see. That'd be great. 3 seed, they're good. The Knicks have a good basketball team. You're 100% right. Julius Randle is a really, 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 really good NBA player. He's an all-star, all-second NBA team last year. We know he can play. We know what he brings to the team. He's a really good player. However, the reality of what it is that the Knicks have stayed a competitive team even without him in his presence. And I'm pretty sure these are some things that the management will be evaluating in the offseason, even though I know they really do like Randle and they're big on him. But these are things they will evaluate because the Knicks had a time where a bunch of guys was hurt. But as they started getting guys piece by piece, and even through that, they still kept water afloat enough to be, as we say, what they're saying now, the third or the second best team in the Eastern Conference. So if they can do that and maintain that without Randle, these are some of the things that I'm not saying they're going to trade him. I'm not saying to trade him. I'm saying these are the things that they're going to evaluate. Without sounding like a hater, I know he would never do this. If I was a selfish person inside, if I'm Julius Randle, I'm hoping the Knicks lose early. Because if the Knicks get to the second round or possibly the third round, without him, they're going to evaluate that, if you understand what I mean. You know what I'm saying? And you're 100% right. The only person who is allowed to be a ball stopper, and even he shares the ball, is Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If Jalen Brunson wants to shoot 15 shots straight, he can shoot them because he's a stud and he's a superstar. And we're clearly seeing that Jalen Brunson is one of the top players in the NBA. So he has the autonomy to do that. But even this guy averages 5 assists per night. But besides that, doesn't the ball flow more? Just like you said, OG passes the ball willingly. Dante passes the ball willingly. Deuce McBride passes the ball willingly. Hartenstein is a phenomenal passer. He's one of our best passers, honest to God. You know what I'm saying?
Alex Burks can shoot. It's a good thing that they brought back Alex Burks when he wasn't coming from a bad Detroit Pistons team that's literally, oh my God, we're not even good.
Oh my God. Bogdanovich shot well tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Bogdanovich can shoot. I mean, those guys can shoot. The Knicks picked him up for a bad team, sending Quentin Grimes there in the trade, and now we're finally starting to see what we expect to see for the Knicks when the trades happen. getting to that elusive second best seed in the Eastern Conference. And that's the highest the Knicks have finished since 2013 when they were second best, and they ran to the Indiana Pacers. But the only difference between this roster and back then, the Knicks, it was Melo, Stoudemire, and an Asian Jason Kidd, Marcus Camby, Kenyon Martin. You had Rasheed Wallace before he was out for the season due to an injury.
Kurt Thomas,
we can't forget about him. Pablo Prigioni, like the oldest rookie you had yet. But right now,
J.R. Smith,
Iman Shumpert. Right now, you fast forward. This is literally the youngest team that you ever had. When I watch a video from YouTube, they really talk about how the Knicks went from being one of the worst at the Melo left of the trade. They went through rough times at one point in the 2010s. Like, he had Kristaps Porzingis, like literally the main star for that team after the Knicks drafted him in 2015. Of course, you didn't get aware. He had an ankle injury against the Milwaukee Bucks, and he was out for that entire year. And then you trade to the Dallas Mavericks, and of course, the Knicks they literally gave it that one season for nothing just to get R.J. Barrett instead of Zion Williamson. You couldn't get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in a trade. Well, during free agency, I should say. So you had to settle for Julius Randle. You do expectedly bad in 2020 prior to the COVID shutdown. And coming out of the pandemic, Julius Randle gave you 2 playoff appearances in the last 3 years. And you about to get the 3rd playoff appearance in 4 years. It's all because of Jalen Brunson. So that one bad season was all about not having a legitimate point guard when you don't count Emmanuel Quigley and Kemba Walker. Jalen Brunson came in. I was the only person that said that Jalen Brunson was going to make the Knicks a playoff team and a contender. Maybe not win a championship, but a contender. And many people say, oh, he's not 1A, he's not this, he's not that, he's not worth that bag. But he exceeded expectations. He became an all-star, and he's carried the Knicks team to the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference at least. So you look back at the growth and development and culture and chemistry with this Knicks roster from where they were back in the 2010s up until now. Like, how impressed are you?
The organization and players, they're doing the right thing. We're trending in the right direction. And like you say, that key terminology, that bag, that bag work is different right now. They're playing good ball. And here goes the reality of everything. No disrespect to all these guys I'm about to mention. The Indiana Pacers are an absolute offensive juggernaut. Let's just not even beat around the bush. The Pacers can absolutely flat out score. Tyrese Halliburton, Mathurin, Obi off the bench. They're a good team. The Miami Heat are a good playoff team. I don't care playing or not. They need to be paid attention to. We know how playoff Jimmy Butler goes. We know how Spoelstra coach. We know how Pat Riley and that organization is. We know how they play in the postseason. So with them, Indiana, no disrespect to Cleveland, we respect Cleveland. Philadelphia, they're another team that's very dangerous being at the 7th or 8th seed. Nobody would want to play that in the first round because when Embiid is on his game and healthy, and Tyrese Maxey's a big-time player, they're good. Orlando, also, no disrespect. Orlando, I think, has beaten the Knicks 3 times this year, I believe. Either 2 or 3 times. 3 times to 1. They won that season series. Let me tell you, anything can happen. Those teams are capable of doing. I know I said in the back to guys like, Orlando's too young. I said, that's a bunch of crap. Oklahoma's young, and they're trying to make things happen in the postseason. And here goes the fact of the matter is that the Wagner kids have given the Knicks a lot of problems. So we'd have to defend very well against them. They have Cole Anthony. Powell Banchero is a big-time young player in this league. So, and they're young, so they have nothing to lose. And that's the teams that you have to worry about sometimes, even in a 7-game series. So with all the credit I'm giving to all those teams, still, if the Knicks play to their potential, they should get to the 2nd round minimum or possibly the 3rd round. With Giannis getting hurt, even though I'm hearing it's out for the regular season, but he will come back. But who knows what kind of condition he's coming back in. the Knicks can beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round. And that's why I would rather stay in either 2 to 3, because if we do that, then we know that we play Milwaukee in the second round.
You avoid Boston to the third round, even though
Right.
after the way they played against Boston tonight, they're at least showing that they can be competitive against the Celtics.
Now,
It'd be one of those
so
losing fans say we're going to win the championship, but I'm more realistic than I was when I started watching basketball in the mid-2000s. And I've seen the Knicks have their ups and downs. And this time, we know that this playoff success will be sustainable.
Yeah. Now, here goes the thing, though. We want to stay out of 4 or 5, so you stay away from Boston. And the Knicks have the potential to still beat the Boston without Julius Randle.
As you
However, yes, but we'd rather play them way later than earlier. And then we also have to take the Knicks won tonight, and we're not poo-pooing, we're not taking away from that. Brunson was incredible again. But we also have to take into consideration that Boston doesn't have their foot is not on the gas pedal, because they're already the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They know that they're the number 1 seed. So their intensity is not going to be up. Once the Knicks got to a certain point, it was like, okay, white flag, we're going to sit these guys down, make sure they don't get hurt, because we have to worry about postseason, not right now. So we also have to take into consideration that if we play the Celtics down the line, we're going to get the best Celtics team and go from there. Here goes the one Achilles heel with the Celtics. We've seen it in the first half, in the first 3 quarters, but the fourth quarter, they started changing that. When the Celtics are not making an abundance of threes, they're very beatable. They're very beatable. No disrespect to Tatum. Tatum is a stud. Brown is a stud. But we know individually, one-on-one, what they're going to do anyway. When they're not making threes collectively as a team, the rest of those guys, that team becomes very normal. We've seen that in the first 3 quarters. You've seen what happened in the fourth quarter, right? When they started making that comeback and making a lot of threes, they can be dangerous. But they're calling them the Golden State Warriors of the Eastern Conference. So we know how they can shoot the 3 and make the 3. But if you can catch the Celtics on a game situation where they're not shooting high 40% from that 3-point line and not knocking down that 3, they're a normal team and you could beat them. We would just have to pray that we catch the Celtics for a week when they're not making any 3-pointers in a 7-game series. But with that being still said, the Celtics probably should get back to the NBA Finals, but the Knicks will be here to make it very interesting.
Yes, they will. And all the hype surrounding the New York Knicks is incredible. And it's all because of the play, everything you just said. And let's not forget, and one concern is how well the Knicks are going to play when Jalen Brunson is taking some breather. Because you notice that when Jalen Brunson sits down and he's on the bench, whatever momentum they have at the beginning kind of tends to tumble a little bit. But once Jalen Brunson comes back out, he's capable of carrying a team on his back.
Well, that's what I'm worried about too. They're going to be times. I mean, they play high minutes in the postseason anyway, but we're going to need, for the times he's not on the court, for guys to still coexist and make plays in the bench play. And that might be the only time where we really see if we miss Julius Randle. Because if Brunson is not on the court, at least you know you do have a guy one-on-one that you can give the ball to and just say, get out the way, and he can score. I'm saying, so OG has nights like that where OG can be very, 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 very explosive offensively. You know what I'm saying, but we shall see. And in general, it's just really great to see Knicks basketball back competitive and for them to be in the postseason.
Yes, it is. It's very great to see Knicks one of the top 2 or 3 teams in their conference at least, along with the New York Rangers having the best record in the NHL, at least currently, even though they did lose to the Flyers tonight. But it's okay because the Rangers,
still number 1.
They're number 1. They have a chance at another President's Cup. And let me ask you something. Since you were watching basketball in hockey in 1994, with the Knicks being number 1 or one of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, and the Rangers being number 1, does this give you vibes to 1994 when both teams at the very least made to the championship round in their major sports? Do you think we're going to at least see flashes of that again? And how big are the Knicks and Rangers both being elite in the same season?
It's huge for 34th Street. It's huge for New York. It's huge for the Garden. There are similarities, not completely the same. I'm gonna be a lot more realistic. I think the Knicks chances are second or third round. They do have a possibility to go fourth round, but second, max, I think third round definitely is their ceiling, and I think that's a great accomplishment, especially if Julius is not there. The Rangers now, and like I was talking to my guy in the car who's an Islanders fan before we came to the game, my guy Owen, hockey, all right, March Madness is only topsy-turvy because it's a one-game situation, okay? It's very unpredictable. But from all the professional big-time sports, baseball and hockey are some of the most unpredictable postseasons in life. We watched the Phillies we don't even have to talk about postseason baseball. We know how postseason baseball can get real crazy. Hockey, it's all about your goaltender, how hot he gets, how well he's playing. If you get a hot offensive line, if you just run into a buzzsaw. But so the Rangers can win the President's Cup and lose in the first round.
You saw that for the Boston Bruins last year against the Florida Panthers, and Florida Panthers, fresh off their Stanley Cup appearance and barely losing to the Colorado Avalanche. I believe that's who they were playing last year. No, it was the Golden Knights, or I think it was one of those teams. But nonetheless, fresh off of their Stanley Cup run as an 8th seed, the same year Miami made it to the finals as an 8th seed, Florida really stepped up their game as one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference.
Now, the last time the Rangers won the President's Cup, they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the New Jersey Devils. And
no, actually, I'm lying. It was against the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2015.
There you go. And yes, because the Rays had went. So now, and here's another crazy stat: most of the time, the people who win the President's Cup do not get to the Stanley Cup or do not win it. So we're playing with all those barriers against our back. But now here goes to my other part of it as a Ranger fan. If the Rangers play to their potential in this postseason, and they get the incredible goaltending that they've been getting from Igor Shesterkin, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, and they should go to the Stanley Cup. No joke. Their chances of going to the championship game is more realistic than the Knicks, even though the Knicks have a chance to get to the third round. So there's similarities there. It'd be more disappointing if the Rangers minimum don't go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. After the season they've had, the strong start they've had, I mean, Shesterkin, Zibanejad,
Mika Zibanejad, Zibanejad, yep.
And all these guys, the way they carry this Rangers offense, it's just so amazing.
Absolutely.
And all depends on capitalizing on power play goals. And that's what the New York Rangers need to do in order to have a successful run than what they did last year when they choked to the New Jersey Devils, who are not in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they should have won that series. They went up 2-0 and lose 4 straight. But God, because hockey sometimes, like I say, it can be so unpredictable. When the team gets a synergy, they can turn into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, buzzsaw indeed. And if the season ended today, the Rangers would get the Pittsburgh Penguins, or they could even get the New York Islanders, depending on everything that goes down. And
they could even they'll
because the Islanders pull off an overtime win against the Montreal Canadiens. So yeah,
we're gonna see how it pans out. 2 more games and 3 more games to end hockey season. So hopefully the Rangers can make a big time run. They definitely have the talent and the goaltending and the coaching to make a big time run.
Yep, I do expect a big time run indeed. And that'll do it with this episode of Nothing But That Sports. So thank you for stopping by to promote the upcoming tournaments that you said you're going to announce. 5 a.m. Brotherhood and Crunchtime. You're doing big things. I can't wait to see what you do. For Wavy Walker, Rafiq Lewis on. We'll see you next time.